Become the person you were meant to be, a Japanese path to lasting transformation, written and published by Audiobook Institute. The most meaningful transformation in life is not becoming someone entirely different. It is becoming the person you have always been capable of becoming. Many people spend years searching for the perfect opportunity, the right motivation, or a single breakthrough that will finally change their lives. They believe lasting success arrives through dramatic moments or extraordinary circumstances. Yet some of the world's oldest and wisest philosophies suggest something far simpler and far more powerful. Japanese philosophy teaches that greatness is built quietly. It grows through small daily improvements, disciplined habits, purposeful living, and an unwavering commitment to becoming slightly better than yesterday. From the philosophy of Kaizen and the purpose-driven life of Ikigai, to the craftsmanship of Shokunin, the resilience of Kintsugi, and the lifelong pursuit of self-mastery, Japan offers timeless principles that shape character before achievement and identity before success. This audiobook brings together centuries of Japanese wisdom with modern psychology, neuroscience, and behavioral science to create a practical roadmap for lasting personal transformation. You will discover how identity influences behavior, why habits quietly shape your destiny, how resilience is strengthened through adversity, and why purpose gives ordinary actions extraordinary meaning. More importantly, you will learn that meaningful change does not require perfection. It requires consistency. Every chapter builds upon the last, guiding you from greater self-awareness to stronger habits, deeper resilience, purposeful action, and lifelong growth. As your daily choices begin to change, your identity will gradually evolve. And as your identity evolves, the life you create will begin reflecting the person you are becoming. The journey to your highest potential does not begin someday. It begins with the next intentional step you choose to take. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The person you are becoming begins today. Your future is not hidden somewhere ahead of you. It is quietly created by the person you choose to become today. Most people believe change begins with a goal. They decide to become healthier, more confident, more disciplined, more successful. Then they search for the perfect plan, the strongest motivation, or the ideal opportunity to begin. For a short time, they feel inspired. But eventually, life becomes busy. Motivation fades. Old habits quietly return. The cycle begins again. The problem is rarely a lack of ambition. It is starting in the wrong place. Japanese philosophy teaches that lasting transformation does not begin with what you want to achieve. It begins with who you choose to become. This is one of the most profound shifts you can make. Instead of chasing outcomes, you begin shaping your identity, because identity drives behavior far more powerfully than motivation ever can. Every action you take is influenced by the story you believe about yourself. Someone who believes, "I am not disciplined," will struggle to maintain disciplined habits, even with the best intentions. Someone who believes, "I am becoming a disciplined person," begins making different choices almost naturally. Identity quietly guides behavior long before conscious effort appears. Modern psychology supports this understanding through self-concept theory. Your self-concept is the collection of beliefs you hold about who you are. Those beliefs influence your expectations, your decisions, your confidence, and ultimately your actions. If your identity says you are someone who gives up easily, your mind will unconsciously search for evidence that confirms that belief. If your identity says you are someone who continues learning and growing, your behavior gradually aligns with that new expectation. People rarely rise above the identity they consistently reinforce. This is why lasting transformation is not simply about changing habits. It is about changing the person those habits represent. Behavioral science describes this process through identity-based habits. Every repeated action becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen the identity of someone who is trustworthy. Every workout reinforces the identity of a healthy person. Every page you read strengthens the identity of a lifelong learner. Every act of kindness strengthens the identity of someone who contributes positively to others. The individual action may appear small. The identity it builds becomes powerful. This perspective aligns beautifully with the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen. Kaizen teaches that extraordinary improvement rarely arrives through dramatic change. Instead, it emerges through small, consistent improvements repeated every day. The same principle applies to identity. You do not become a new person overnight. You become a new person through thousands of ordinary decisions that gradually reshape the way you think, behave, and live. Each small improvement strengthens your identity. That stronger identity makes future improvements easier. The cycle continues. Neuroscience provides another reason this approach works. The brain possesses an extraordinary ability known as neuroplasticity. Throughout life, your brain continually reorganizes itself based on repeated experiences and behaviors. Every repeated thought strengthens certain neural pathways. Every repeated action reinforces familiar patterns. This means your identity is not permanently fixed. It evolves according to what you repeatedly practice. Each time you respond with patience instead of anger, you strengthen emotional regulation. Each time you choose learning over distraction, you reinforce intellectual growth. Each time you act according to your values, you reshape both your habits and your brain. Transformation is not merely psychological, it is biological. This explains why motivation alone rarely produces lasting change. Motivation fluctuates. Some mornings you feel inspired, other days you feel exhausted. If your progress depends entirely upon motivation, consistency becomes impossible. Identity remains stable even when motivation disappears. Someone who sees themselves as a writer continues writing. Someone who identifies as an athlete continues training. Someone who believes they are a person of integrity continues honoring commitments. Identity provides direction when emotions become unreliable. The strategic shift is therefore clear. Stop chasing outcomes. Start becoming the kind of person who naturally creates those outcomes. A healthier body follows the identity of someone who values health. Financial stability follows the identity of someone who acts responsibly with money. Strong relationships follow the identity of someone who consistently practices empathy, honesty, and respect. The outcome becomes the natural consequence of the person you have become. This transformation can be understood through the identity transformation loop. It begins with identity. What you believe about yourself shapes your beliefs. Those beliefs influence your actions. Repeated actions become habits. Habits gradually form your character. Over time, that character reinforces your identity, beginning the cycle once again. Every choice strengthens one version of yourself or another. The loop is always operating. The only question is whether it is moving you toward the life you want or away from it. A powerful example of identity-driven transformation can be seen in Toyota. The company did not simply introduce new manufacturing techniques, it cultivated a new identity throughout the organization. Every employee was encouraged to think of themselves as someone responsible for continuous improvement. Workers were not expected merely to complete assigned tasks. They became problem solvers, learners, contributors. Each small improvement reinforced the belief that excellence was everyone's responsibility. Over time, this shared identity transformed not only manufacturing processes, but the culture itself. Toyota became exceptional because its people first learned to think differently about who they were. You can apply this same principle beginning today. Complete one simple sentence. From today, I am the kind of person who... Perhaps you write, from today, I am the kind of person who keeps promises to myself. Or, from today, I am the kind of person who improves a little every day. Or, from today, I am the kind of person who responds with wisdom instead of impulse. Keep the sentence somewhere visible. Read it daily. Then ask yourself one simple question before making important decisions. What would a person with this identity do? Allow your actions to answer. Remember this truth. Transformation begins the moment your identity becomes stronger than your excuses. Before moving forward, reflect on one final question. Who are you becoming through your daily choices? The answer matters because every decision is quietly shaping your future identity. And once that identity begins to change, lasting transformation becomes possible. Identity gives you direction. The next step is learning the philosophy that turns those small daily choices into lifelong growth through continuous improvement. Chapter 2. Kaizen, Small Steps, Extraordinary Results. The smallest improvement repeated every day eventually changes an entire life. One of the greatest obstacles to personal transformation is the belief that meaningful change must be dramatic. People wait for the perfect Monday, the beginning of a new month, a new year, a life-changing event. They promise themselves they will completely reinvent their lives overnight. For a few days, they exercise intensely, work longer hours, read more books, wake up earlier. Everything feels exciting. Then reality returns. The routine becomes difficult, motivation fades, old habits quietly reappear. The transformation never lasts. The problem is not a lack of desire. It is believing that extraordinary results require extraordinary actions. Japanese philosophy teaches the opposite. Lasting transformation begins with remarkably small improvements. This principle is known as Kaizen. Kaizen simply means continuous improvement, not massive improvement, not occasional improvement, continuous improvement. It is the quiet discipline of becoming slightly better today than you were yesterday. At first, this philosophy may seem almost too simple. Can one small improvement really matter? Can changing just a tiny habit influence the direction of an entire life? The answer lies in understanding how progress truly works. Modern psychology explains that habits are built through repetition rather than intensity. When a behavior is repeated consistently, the brain gradually makes it more automatic. Neural pathways strengthen. The action requires less effort. Eventually, what once demanded discipline becomes part of your normal identity. This is the science of habit formation. Small actions are easier to repeat than large ones. Because they require less willpower, they are far more likely to become permanent. A person who reads 5 pages every day often finishes more books than someone who attempts to read 50 pages only when feeling inspired. The same principle applies to exercise, learning, finances, relationships, and personal growth. Consistency quietly accomplishes what intensity rarely sustains. Another powerful principle behind Kaizen is the compound effect. We often notice dramatic changes because they happen quickly. We rarely notice small improvements because they appear insignificant. Yet small improvements have an extraordinary characteristic. They accumulate. Imagine improving one important area of your life by just 1% every day. One better decision, one healthier meal, one thoughtful conversation, one page read, one unnecessary distraction avoided. Each individual improvement feels almost invisible, but together they create momentum. Weeks become months, months become years. The gap between who you were and who you have become grows larger with every passing day. Compounding works quietly. Its greatest strength is that it rewards patience. This process is also supported by the brain's reward system. Each time you make progress, your brain releases small amounts of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with motivation, learning, and reinforcement. Many people believe dopamine is produced only by achieving major goals. In reality, the brain also responds to small signs of progress, every completed habit, every promise kept, every tiny improvement. These moments create positive reinforcement that encourages repetition. The habit becomes easier because your brain begins associating progress with reward. This is why celebrating small wins is so important. You are not rewarding perfection, you are strengthening consistency. The strategic shift Kaizen asks us to make is profound. Move away from perfectionism. Embrace continuous improvement. Perfectionism often creates paralysis. People hesitate to begin because they fear doing something imperfectly. They postpone action while waiting for ideal circumstances. Kaizen removes this pressure. Its goal is not perfection, its goal is progress. An imperfect improvement today is infinitely more valuable than a perfect plan that never begins. Every small step moves you forward. Every day becomes another opportunity to grow. A practical way to apply this philosophy is through the 1% better system. Rather than asking, how can I completely transform my life? Ask, how can I improve this by just 1% today? 1% better communication, 1% better health, 1% better focus, 1% better financial habits, 1% better emotional control. These improvements may appear insignificant in the moment. They become extraordinary because they never stop accumulating. One of the clearest examples of this philosophy can be found in Japanese manufacturing. Companies did not become world leaders because they introduced one revolutionary innovation every decade. Instead, they embedded Kaizen into everyday operations. Employees were encouraged to identify small improvements continuously. A process became slightly simpler. A defect was prevented. A task became safer. Communication became clearer. Each improvement was modest. Together, thousands of these refinements transformed ordinary factories into some of the most respected organizations in the world. Excellence emerged not from dramatic breakthroughs, but from disciplined consistency. The same philosophy applies to your own life. You do not need to transform everything today. You simply need to improve something. Choose one habit. Only one. Perhaps you drink one more glass of water. Read for 10 minutes. Walk for 15 minutes. Practice gratitude before sleeping. Wake up 5 minutes earlier. Spend less time scrolling on your phone. The habit itself matters less than the consistency behind it. Small actions repeated daily reshape identity. Identity reshapes your future. Remember this truth. Great lives are built in millimeters, not miles. The greatest transformations are rarely visible while they are happening. They reveal themselves only after months or years of faithful practice. So before this chapter ends, ask yourself one important question. What tiny improvement can you make today that your future self will thank you for? Do not underestimate the power of your answer. One small step may seem insignificant today, but repeated consistently, it can completely transform the person you become. Continuous improvement creates momentum, yet momentum alone is not enough. To sustain lifelong transformation, you must understand the deeper reason behind every improvement. You must discover your purpose. Chapter 3. Ikigai. Discover the life worth living. Purpose is not found, it is built through meaningful contribution. Many people spend their lives asking one question: what do I want from life? They search for happiness, success, recognition, security. They believe that once they finally obtain these things, life will feel meaningful. Yet countless people achieve impressive goals only to discover that something still feels missing. The promotion arrives, the business grows, the financial goals are reached, but fulfillment remains just beyond reach. The reason is simple. Achievement and purpose are not the same. Achievement answers what you accomplish. Purpose answers why it matters. Japanese philosophy offers a timeless concept that helps bridge this gap. It is known as Ikigai. Often translated as a reason for being, Ikigai represents the place where your passions, your abilities, your contribution to others, and the practical realities of life come together. It is not a destination you suddenly discover one morning. It is something you gradually build through intentional living. Many people imagine purpose as one dramatic revelation, a single life-changing moment that provides perfect clarity. In reality, purpose grows quietly. It becomes clearer through action, curiosity, service, and experience. You rarely think your way into purpose. You live your way into it. This understanding aligns closely with modern psychology. Self-determination theory suggests that lasting motivation depends upon three fundamental human needs: autonomy, competence, connection. People thrive when they feel they are choosing their own path, developing meaningful abilities, and contributing to something greater than themselves. When these needs are consistently met, life becomes deeply satisfying. When they are neglected, even success can feel empty. This explains why external rewards alone rarely create lasting fulfillment. Money matters, recognition matters, achievement matters. But without purpose, they often lose their meaning surprisingly quickly. Another important concept is intrinsic motivation. Many people depend almost entirely upon external motivation: praise, promotions, awards, approval. These rewards can certainly encourage effort, but they rarely sustain it for decades. Intrinsic motivation works differently. It grows from the satisfaction of the work itself. You continue learning because you love learning. You continue helping because serving others gives your life meaning. You continue improving because becoming better feels worthwhile. Purpose transforms discipline from obligation into commitment. It gives ordinary habits extraordinary significance. Purpose psychology also shows that people who possess a strong sense of meaning often demonstrate greater resilience during difficult times. Challenges become easier to endure when they serve a worthwhile purpose. Setbacks feel temporary rather than permanent. Failure becomes feedback rather than defeat. Purpose does not eliminate suffering. It gives suffering direction. This leads to one of the greatest shifts Japanese philosophy invites us to make. Stop asking, "What do I want from life?" Instead ask, "What is life asking of me?" That single question changes everything. Rather than chasing endless personal satisfaction, you begin looking for opportunities to contribute. How can your talents help others? How can your experiences create value? How can your work improve someone's life? Purpose grows stronger every time your life becomes useful beyond yourself. One helpful way to understand this journey is through the Ikigai compass. Imagine 4 circles gradually overlapping. The first represents what you love. The second represents what you are good at. The third represents what the world genuinely needs. The fourth represents what can sustainably support your life. Where these 4 areas meet, purpose begins to emerge. It is not necessary for everything to become perfectly aligned immediately. Instead, allow yourself to explore each area with curiosity. Your Ikigai becomes clearer through consistent reflection and meaningful action. One of the most inspiring examples of Ikigai can be found in Okinawa, Japan, a region famous for its remarkable number of long-lived, healthy residents. Researchers studying these communities discovered something fascinating. Many older adults continue waking each morning with a clear sense of purpose. Some tend gardens. Others teach traditional crafts. Some care for grandchildren. Others volunteer within their communities. Retirement is not viewed as the end of contribution. Purpose continues throughout life. Combined with strong social connections, daily movement, meaningful routines, and community involvement, this sense of purpose contributes to exceptional well-being and longevity. Their lives remind us that happiness is rarely created by doing extraordinary things. It is created by living ordinary days with extraordinary meaning. You can begin discovering your own purpose today. Take a sheet of paper and divide it into 4 sections. In the first, write what genuinely excites you. In the second, list your strengths and skills. In the third, identify problems you care about solving or people you hope to serve. In the fourth, consider how these strengths might create lasting value in your work or life. Do not search for perfect answers. Simply begin exploring the intersections. Purpose becomes clearer through movement, not endless thinking. Remember these words. Purpose grows stronger every time your actions serve something larger than yourself. Before moving forward, pause for one final reflection. What kind of contribution would make your life feel truly meaningful? Do not answer with someone else's expectations. Answer honestly. Because when your daily actions begin serving a purpose greater than yourself, motivation becomes steadier, discipline becomes easier, and growth becomes deeply fulfilling. Purpose gives direction to improvement. The next step is learning how disciplined practice transforms that purpose into lifelong mastery. Chapter 4: Shokunin, the Discipline of Mastery. Mastery begins when excellence becomes your daily standard rather than your occasional achievement. In a world driven by speed, mastery has become increasingly rare. Many people want rapid results. They want success without years of practice, recognition without quiet preparation, expertise without repetition. The modern world celebrates outcomes while often overlooking the countless hours that make those outcomes possible. Japanese philosophy offers a different perspective. It teaches that true excellence is never rushed. It is patiently built through devotion to the process itself. This philosophy is beautifully expressed through the concept of Shokunin. Although often translated as craftsmanship, Shokunin carries a much deeper meaning. It is not simply about producing beautiful work. It is about becoming the kind of person whose character is reflected in everything they create. A Shokunin does not pursue perfection because someone is watching. They pursue excellence because it has become part of who they are. Whether making sushi, forging a knife, crafting pottery, designing architecture, or repairing a piece of furniture, the work is approached with humility, discipline, and profound respect. Every detail matters. Every improvement matters. Every day matters. The craft becomes a lifelong teacher. One of the greatest misconceptions about mastery is that it belongs only to the naturally gifted. Modern psychology tells a different story. Research on deliberate practice shows that exceptional performance is rarely the product of talent alone. Instead, mastery develops through focused practice designed to improve specific aspects of performance. Deliberate practice differs from ordinary repetition. Simply doing the same thing repeatedly does not guarantee improvement. True practice requires attention, feedback, correction, refinement. Each session is an opportunity to become slightly better than before. This process is demanding because it requires confronting weaknesses rather than avoiding them. Yet it is precisely this willingness to improve that separates experts from amateurs. Japanese craftsmen have embodied this philosophy for centuries. Many apprentices spend years performing seemingly simple tasks before being entrusted with more complex responsibilities. To an outsider, this may appear inefficient. In reality, those early years cultivate patience, discipline, observation, and respect for the fundamentals. Before creating something extraordinary, they first learn to perform ordinary tasks exceptionally well. Mastery begins with the basics. Another principle that supports this philosophy is the growth mindset. People with a fixed mindset believe their abilities are largely predetermined. Success confirms talent. Failure exposes limitation. As a result, they often avoid difficult challenges because mistakes threaten their self-image. A growth mindset embraces a different belief. Abilities can be developed through learning, effort, and persistence. Mistakes become teachers rather than enemies. Every setback provides information. Every challenge strengthens capability. This perspective transforms failure from a source of discouragement into a necessary part of mastery. A shokunin never assumes they have finished learning. No matter how experienced they become, there is always another detail to refine, another technique, another improvement. Excellence remains a lifelong pursuit. Mastery also requires the ability to focus deeply. Today's world constantly competes for attention. Notifications interrupt concentration. Multitasking divides mental energy. Endless distractions make sustained effort increasingly difficult. This is why the concept of deep work has become more valuable than ever. Deep work is the ability to concentrate completely on one meaningful task without distraction. It allows complex skills to develop more quickly and creative insights to emerge more naturally. Japanese craftsmanship reflects this level of attention. When fully immersed in meaningful work, distractions disappear. Time seems to fade. The work itself becomes the center of awareness. Psychologists describe this experience as the flow state. Flow occurs when the challenge of a task closely matches your level of skill. You become fully absorbed. Performance improves. Learning accelerates. The work becomes intrinsically rewarding. Many master craftsmen experience this state regularly because years of disciplined practice have prepared them to engage deeply with their craft. Flow is not accidental. It grows from preparation, focus, and purposeful repetition. Perhaps the most important shift Shokunin asks us to make is this: stop chasing applause. Start perfecting your craft. Recognition is unpredictable. Some exceptional work receives immediate praise. Other remarkable contributions remain unnoticed for years. If your motivation depends entirely upon external validation, your commitment will fluctuate with public opinion. The craftsman's mindset is different. The reward is found within the work itself. Improvement becomes satisfying. Learning becomes meaningful. Excellence becomes its own source of motivation. Ironically, those who stop chasing recognition often become the very people others admire most. A helpful way to understand this journey is through the craftsman's cycle. It begins with practice. Focused effort develops skill. Practice generates feedback. Feedback reveals opportunities for improvement. Improvement leads to refinement. Refinement gradually produces mastery. Mastery eventually creates a legacy, inspiring others while raising the standard for future generations. Then the cycle begins again. Even masters continue practicing. The process never truly ends. Throughout Japan, countless artisans have demonstrated this philosophy. Some spend decades perfecting a single craft. a ceramic artist refining the shape of one bowl, a swordsmith improving the balance of every blade, a carpenter shaping wood with extraordinary precision, a calligrapher practicing the same brushstrokes thousands of times. Their work reminds us that mastery is never the result of one extraordinary effort. It is the product of unwavering standards maintained over many years. Their greatest achievement is not simply the objects they create. It is the discipline they cultivate within themselves. You do not need to become an artisan to embrace this philosophy. Every profession contains opportunities for craftsmanship. A teacher can master the art of inspiring students. A writer can master clear communication. An entrepreneur can master solving meaningful problems. A physician can master compassionate care. A parent can master patient leadership. The principle remains unchanged. Approach your work with the intention of continual refinement rather than quick recognition. To begin applying Shokunin, identify one skill truly worth mastering. Not for the next month, not for the next year, for the next decade. Then design a deliberate practice routine. Schedule uninterrupted time. Seek honest feedback. Study those who perform at the highest level. Improve one aspect at a time. Protect consistency more than intensity. Allow time to become your greatest ally. Remember these words. Your character is shaped by the standard you refuse to lower. Before moving forward, reflect carefully on one question. If you committed to mastering one meaningful skill for the next 10 years, what would it be? The answer may reveal far more than the skill itself. It may reveal the person you are becoming, because mastery is never built through occasional effort. It is sustained by disciplined habits that quietly shape everyday life, one deliberate action at a time. Chapter 5. Discipline is the highest form of self-respect. Discipline is choosing the life you truly want over the comfort you temporarily crave. Many people think of discipline as punishment. They imagine strict routines, endless sacrifice, constant self-denial, a life with little freedom or enjoyment. This misunderstanding causes many people to avoid discipline altogether. They believe it limits happiness. Japanese philosophy teaches the opposite. True discipline is not a form of restriction. It is a form of self-respect. It is the quiet decision to honor your future self through the choices you make today. Every act of discipline sends yourself a powerful message. My future matters. My promises matter. The person I am becoming is worth today's effort. In contrast, every broken commitment quietly weakens your confidence. Not because you failed once, but because your mind begins questioning whether your own words can be trusted. Over time, the relationship you have with yourself becomes one of your greatest strengths or one of your greatest limitations. This is why discipline is deeply connected to identity. It is not simply about completing difficult tasks. It is about becoming someone who can rely on themselves. One of the most important psychological principles behind discipline is delayed gratification. Human beings naturally seek immediate rewards. We prefer comfort over discomfort, entertainment over effort, pleasure over patience. Our brains are wired to notice what feels good now. Unfortunately, the most meaningful rewards in life rarely arrive immediately. Strong health is built through months of consistent exercise. Financial security grows through years of wise decisions. Mastery develops through thousands of hours of practice. Meaningful relationships deepen through countless moments of trust and care. The greatest achievements ask us to exchange temporary comfort for lasting fulfillment. This ability to postpone immediate pleasure in pursuit of a greater future is one of the strongest predictors of long-term success. Japanese culture reflects this principle in countless ways. Whether mastering a craft, developing a business, or pursuing lifelong improvement through Kaizen, the emphasis is rarely placed on instant results. Instead, the focus remains on showing up every day, Progress becomes the reward. Patience becomes a competitive advantage. Discipline is strengthened further through emotional regulation. Many people assume their emotions should determine their actions. When they feel motivated, they work. When they feel tired, they stop. When they feel confident, they take risks. When they feel discouraged, they withdraw. This creates an unstable life because emotions constantly change. Emotionally disciplined people operate differently. They acknowledge their feelings without allowing those feelings to control every decision. They understand that emotions provide information, but they should not always provide direction. A difficult morning does not erase important responsibilities. A temporary setback does not define the future. An uncomfortable conversation does not require an emotional reaction. Responding intentionally instead of impulsively is one of the highest forms of personal discipline. This ability grows through practice. Each time you pause before reacting, you strengthen self-control. Each time you continue despite discomfort, you build resilience. Each time you choose your values over your impulses, your character becomes stronger. Eventually, disciplined responses become more natural than emotional reactions. Perhaps the greatest misconception about discipline is that it requires extraordinary willpower. In reality, sustainable discipline depends far more on consistency than intensity. Anyone can work extremely hard for one day. Fewer people can maintain steady effort for months and years. Japanese philosophy consistently favors the second approach. Small actions repeated faithfully produce extraordinary results because they become habits. Habits reduce the need for constant decision-making. Instead of debating whether to exercise, you simply exercise. Instead of wondering whether to study, you begin studying. Instead of waiting for inspiration, you follow your routine. Consistency removes unnecessary negotiation with yourself. It transforms discipline from a struggle into a lifestyle. One of the quiet benefits of discipline is confidence. Many people search for confidence before taking action. Discipline reverses the order. Action creates confidence. Each promise you keep strengthens your belief in yourself. Each completed commitment becomes evidence that you are capable of following through. Over time, self-respect grows naturally because your actions consistently support your intentions. Confidence is no longer based on positive thinking alone. It is supported by lived experience. Discipline also protects your purpose. Every meaningful goal competes with countless distractions: convenience, comfort, entertainment, procrastination. Without discipline, these small temptations gradually redirect your life away from what matters most. The danger is not one poor decision. It is the accumulation of many small compromises. Likewise, extraordinary lives are rarely built through one heroic effort. They are built through countless ordinary decisions made correctly when nobody is watching. That is why discipline quietly shapes destiny. It determines what you repeatedly do. What you repeatedly do becomes who you are, and who you become ultimately determines the life you create. This chapter invites you to think differently about discipline. Do not view it as something imposed upon you. View it as a gift you give yourself. Every disciplined action is an investment in the person you are becoming. It is proof that you value your future more than your present comfort. It is evidence that your standards matter. It is a declaration that your life deserves intentional effort. As you move forward, choose one area where discipline can become an act of self-respect. Wake up when you promised. Finish the work you started. Practice the skill that matters. Protect your health. Keep the commitment you made to yourself, not because someone else expects it, because you do. Remember this truth. Discipline is not the opposite of freedom. It is the path that makes lasting freedom possible. When your habits become stronger than your excuses, your future begins changing long before anyone else can see it. The character you build through daily discipline will become the foundation for every success that follows, because lasting transformation is never created by occasional inspiration. It is created by consistent choices that honor the person you are becoming. Chapter 6. Wabi-Sabi. Embrace imperfection, continue growing. The pursuit of perfection often prevents the progress that transforms lives. Many people postpone their dreams while waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect opportunity, the perfect version of themselves. They believe success belongs to those who never make mistakes, those who appear confident, those whose lives seem carefully arranged and free from flaws. Yet perfection is one of the greatest illusions we ever chase. The more tightly we cling to it, the more afraid we become of failure. Every mistake feels like proof that we are not good enough. Every setback becomes a reason to stop. Every imperfection becomes something to hide. Japanese philosophy offers a remarkably freeing alternative. It is known as Wabi-Sabi. Wabi-Sabi is the appreciation of imperfection, impermanence, and authenticity. Rather than searching for flawless beauty, it teaches us to recognize the quiet beauty found in things that are incomplete, weathered, and continually evolving. An old wooden table worn smooth by decades of use, a handmade ceramic bowl with subtle variations, a garden that changes with every season. None of these are perfect, yet each possesses a beauty that perfection could never create. The same is true of human beings. Our struggles, our mistakes, our scars, our growth. They are not evidence that we have failed, they are evidence that we have lived. Modern psychology supports this wisdom through the practice of self-compassion. Many people believe harsh self-criticism creates improvement. They imagine that constantly pointing out their flaws will motivate them to become better. Research consistently suggests the opposite. People who treat themselves with understanding after failure are often more resilient, more motivated, and more willing to keep learning. Self-compassion does not mean lowering standards. It means refusing to define your worth by your mistakes. It allows you to acknowledge failure without becoming consumed by it. Instead of saying, "I failed, therefore I am a failure," you begin saying, "I failed, therefore I have something to learn." That single shift changes everything. This naturally strengthens resilience. Life rarely unfolds exactly as planned. Careers change, relationships end, dreams evolve. Unexpected difficulties appear without warning. People who expect perfection often struggle most during these moments because reality conflicts with their expectations. Those who embrace imperfection adapt more easily. They understand that setbacks are not interruptions to growth. They are part of growth itself. Like a tree bending during a storm instead of resisting every gust of wind, resilient people survive because they learn to adjust without losing their roots. Another gift of Wabi-Sabi is authenticity. When we constantly pursue perfection, we often begin performing rather than living. We hide weaknesses, pretend to know everything, compare ourselves endlessly with carefully edited versions of other people's lives. The result is exhaustion. Authenticity offers something far more valuable: the courage to be genuine, to admit uncertainty, to acknowledge mistakes, to remain open to learning. Authentic people are not respected because they appear flawless. They are respected because they are honest. Their confidence is not built upon pretending to be perfect. It is built upon accepting themselves while continuing to grow. This creates deeper trust in relationships, stronger leadership, and greater inner peace. One of the greatest enemies of growth is perfectionism. Perfectionism often disguises itself as high standards. In reality, it frequently becomes fear. Fear of criticism, fear of failure, fear of beginning. Many remarkable ideas remain unfinished because someone believed they were not ready. Many opportunities disappear because someone waited for complete certainty. Many dreams remain dreams because perfection became more important than progress. Japanese wisdom invites us to replace perfection with continuous improvement. A slightly better effort today. A lesson learned from yesterday. Another small step tomorrow. This mindset aligns naturally with Kaizen. Progress matters more than perfection because progress creates momentum. Perfection often creates hesitation. Imagine learning to play the piano. If every mistake convinces you to quit, mastery will never arrive. If every mistake becomes information, improvement becomes inevitable. The same principle applies to writing, leadership, business, relationships, health, and personal growth. Those who improve the most are rarely those who make the fewest mistakes. They are those who continue learning after making them. One of the most beautiful Japanese traditions reflecting this philosophy is Kintsugi, the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. Rather than hiding cracks, artisans highlight them. The object becomes more beautiful because of its history, not despite it. Its fractures become part of its identity. There is a profound lesson here. Your difficult experiences need not diminish your value. They can deepen your wisdom. Your failures can strengthen your compassion. Your disappointments can clarify your purpose. Your scars can become reminders of resilience rather than symbols of weakness. Brokenness honestly repaired often becomes stronger than perfection carefully preserved. As you continue your own journey, remember that transformation is never linear. Some days will feel effortless, others will feel discouraging. Progress may appear invisible for long periods. That does not mean growth has stopped. Just as seasons quietly reshape a landscape, daily choices quietly reshape your character. Trust the process. Keep moving. Continue learning. Continue refining. Continue becoming. Today, choose one area where perfection has been preventing progress. Perhaps you have delayed beginning a project, avoided learning a new skill, postponed an important conversation, or expected flawless performance from yourself before taking the first step. Instead, allow yourself to begin imperfectly. Give yourself permission to improve gradually. Remember these words. Perfection is not the goal. Growth is. Every imperfect action completed with sincerity moves you further than a perfect intention left unfinished. The people who ultimately become extraordinary are not those who never fall. They are the ones who continue rising with greater wisdom every time they do. And that is the quiet beauty of Wabi-Sabi. It teaches us that our imperfections are not obstacles standing between us and transformation. Very often, they are the path that leads us there. Chapter 7. Kintsugi. Turn your scars into strength. Your deepest wounds do not have to become your greatest weaknesses. They can become the place where your greatest strength begins. Every life carries moments of brokenness. A dream that never came true, a relationship that ended unexpectedly, a career setback, a painful failure, a personal loss. Disappointment is not reserved for a few unfortunate people. It is part of being human. The question is not whether life will break us at times. The question is what we choose to become after the breaking. Many people spend years trying to hide their scars. They pretend the pain never happened. They avoid talking about failure. They believe strength means appearing untouched by hardship. Japanese philosophy offers a profoundly different perspective. Rather than hiding what has been broken, it teaches us to honor it. This philosophy is beautifully expressed through Kintsugi, the traditional Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with lacquer mixed with gold. Instead of disguising the cracks, the artisan highlights them. The fractures become part of the object's story. Its history is not erased, it is celebrated. The repaired piece often becomes more beautiful and more valuable than it was before it broke. Kintsugi reminds us that brokenness does not diminish worth, it can deepen it. This philosophy extends far beyond pottery. It offers a powerful way of understanding our own lives. Every hardship leaves a mark. The mark itself is not the tragedy. The tragedy would be believing that the mark defines our limitations instead of our growth. Modern psychology supports this wisdom through the concept of post-traumatic growth. While adversity can undoubtedly cause deep pain, research has shown that many people emerge from profound challenges with greater wisdom, stronger relationships, deeper appreciation for life, and a clearer sense of purpose. The hardship itself is never desirable, but the response to hardship can create remarkable transformation. People often discover strengths they never knew they possessed until circumstances required them to use them. They become more compassionate because they understand suffering, more courageous because they have survived fear, more grateful because they have experienced loss. Growth does not happen because life becomes easier. It happens because people learn to become stronger. This is the essence of emotional resilience. Resilience does not mean avoiding pain. It does not require pretending everything is fine, nor does it demand emotional perfection. Resilience is the ability to experience difficulty without allowing difficulty to define your future. It is the quiet determination to keep moving forward, even when progress feels slow. Like bamboo bending during a storm without breaking, resilient people adapt without losing their foundation. Every challenge becomes another opportunity to strengthen their character. Another powerful idea closely connected to Kintsugi is anti-fragility. Most things in life are either fragile or resilient. A fragile object breaks under pressure. A resilient object survives pressure. An anti-fragile person does something even more remarkable. They become stronger because of pressure. Challenges become teachers. Failure becomes feedback. Criticism becomes refinement. Adversity becomes preparation. Rather than merely surviving difficult experiences, they use them as opportunities for growth. This mindset transforms the way we view setbacks. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we begin asking, "What is this experience preparing me to become?" That question shifts attention from helplessness to possibility. It reminds us that every challenge contains the potential for wisdom. History is filled with people whose greatest contributions were shaped by their greatest struggles. Leaders who became compassionate because they understood hardship. Entrepreneurs who built remarkable businesses after repeated failures. Artists whose deepest work emerged from personal loss. Teachers who inspired others because they had first learned difficult lessons themselves. Their success did not happen despite adversity. In many ways, it happened because adversity reshaped them. The same possibility exists within every one of us. Pain alone does not guarantee growth. Reflection does. Courage does. The willingness to continue does. Kintsugi also teaches us something important about vulnerability. Many people believe strength requires hiding weakness. They fear that admitting pain will reduce their credibility or diminish their value. Yet genuine strength often begins with honesty. Acknowledging your struggles does not make you fragile. It makes you authentic. Authenticity creates trust. People are inspired not by perfection, but by perseverance. They connect with those who have fallen, learned, and risen again. Your scars remind others that healing is possible. Your resilience gives others permission to continue their own journey. Perhaps the most beautiful aspect of Kintsugi is that it never attempts to erase the past. The cracks remain visible. They become part of the object's identity. The same is true for us. Transformation does not require forgetting difficult experiences. It requires integrating them, learning from them, allowing them to shape wisdom instead of bitterness. The goal is not to return to who you were before the struggle. It is to become someone stronger because of it. Today, think about one difficult experience that has shaped your life. Instead of asking how it limited you, ask what it taught you. Did it strengthen your patience? Increase your compassion? Clarify your priorities? Reveal courage you never knew you possessed? Every hardship carries a lesson waiting to be discovered. Sometimes that lesson takes years to understand, but when it finally becomes clear, the pain often begins to serve a purpose. Remember these words. A scar is not proof that life defeated you. It is proof that you healed. It is evidence that you endured what once seemed impossible. It is a reminder that strength is often forged in places where comfort could never reach. As you continue becoming the person you were meant to be, do not hide your scars. Honor them. Learn from them. Allow them to deepen your character rather than diminish your confidence. Because gold is most visible where something has once been broken. And very often, the strongest, wisest, and most compassionate people are not those who have avoided hardship. They are those who chose to transform every crack into a source of strength. That is the timeless wisdom of Kintsugi. Your story is not defined by where you broke. It is defined by how you chose to rebuild. Chapter 8. The Power of Everyday Rituals. Your future is rarely shaped by what you do once. It is shaped by what you do every day. Many people believe success is built through extraordinary effort. They imagine dramatic breakthroughs, life-changing decisions, moments of intense inspiration. While these moments can certainly be powerful, they are rarely responsible for lasting transformation. The real architects of your future are much quieter. They are your daily rituals, the way you begin your morning, the habits you repeat without thinking, the routines you follow when no one is watching. These ordinary actions gradually become the invisible structure of your life. Japanese culture has long understood the importance of ritual. Whether preparing tea through the traditional tea ceremony, caring for a garden, practicing martial arts, or greeting colleagues with respect each morning, daily rituals are viewed as opportunities to cultivate mindfulness, discipline, and excellence. The ritual itself is often simple. Its true purpose is shaping the person performing it. Modern psychology supports this understanding. Our brains naturally seek efficiency. Whenever a behavior is repeated consistently, it requires less conscious effort. Eventually, it becomes automatic. This process is known as habit automation. At first, every new habit demands attention. You must remember to practice it. You consciously choose it. Over time, your brain begins transferring the behavior into automatic patterns. The action becomes part of your routine. Instead of relying on motivation every day, you begin relying on habit. This is why routines are so powerful. They reduce the number of decisions you must make. And fewer decisions mean more mental energy for what truly matters. One of the greatest obstacles to personal growth is not a lack of ability, it is decision fatigue. From the moment we wake up, we make hundreds of choices. What to wear, what to eat, what to prioritize, what to postpone. Every decision consumes mental energy. By the end of the day, even highly capable people often feel mentally exhausted. Well-designed rituals eliminate many unnecessary choices. You already know what comes next. The routine carries you forward. Instead of debating whether to exercise, you simply begin. Instead of wondering when to read, your reading time is already scheduled. Discipline gradually becomes less about willpower and more about structure. Another powerful principle behind lasting habits is environment design. Many people believe behavior is driven entirely by determination. In reality, our surroundings quietly influence countless decisions. A healthy meal placed within easy reach is more likely to be eaten. A book resting on your desk is more likely to be opened. A phone left beside your bed is more likely to distract you. The environment either supports your goals or competes against them. Japanese philosophy often emphasizes creating spaces that encourage intentional living, clean environments, simple designs, order rather than clutter. These physical surroundings reduce unnecessary distractions and make meaningful actions easier to repeat. Rather than constantly resisting temptation, wise people remove unnecessary temptation altogether. Behavioral psychology explains why this approach works so well. Human behavior is heavily influenced by cues. A cue triggers a routine. The routine produces a result. When this cycle repeats, the habit grows stronger. If you want to build better habits, begin by changing the cues around you. Place your journal where you will see it every morning. Prepare your exercise clothes the night before. Keep healthy food visible. Silence unnecessary notifications. Arrange your environment so that the right choice becomes the easiest choice. Small changes in your surroundings often create surprisingly large changes in your behavior. The strategic lesson is simple. Do not rely on motivation. Design systems that make consistency almost automatic. Japanese philosophy consistently reminds us that excellence is rarely dramatic. It is practiced quietly through everyday routines. A master craftsman sharpens tools before beginning work. A martial artist repeats fundamental movements thousands of times. A gardener patiently tends the same plants every day. The repetition itself becomes part of the discipline. Each ritual strengthens identity. Each day reinforces character. Over time, ordinary routines produce extraordinary people. One reason rituals are so effective is that they create stability during uncertainty. Life will always contain unexpected challenges. Schedules change, difficulties arise, motivation fluctuates. A strong routine becomes an anchor. Even when circumstances become chaotic, your daily rituals remind you who you are and what matters most. You continue reading, you continue learning, you continue practicing, you continue improving. Not because life feels easy, but because your habits have become part of your identity. This is how transformation becomes sustainable. The most successful people rarely reinvent themselves every week. Instead, they protect a handful of meaningful rituals that consistently move their lives forward. Their routines are not complicated, they are intentional. A few minutes of reflection, focused work, daily movement, continuous learning, meaningful relationships, rest. Repeated over months and years, these simple rituals quietly reshape the future. Today, take a careful look at your own routines. Ask yourself, what rituals are shaping my life right now? Are they moving you closer to the person you want to become? Or are they quietly reinforcing habits you no longer wish to keep? Then choose one ritual worth protecting. It does not need to be dramatic. It simply needs to be consistent. Perhaps you begin every morning with 10 minutes of reading. Perhaps you end each evening by reflecting on one lesson learned that day. Perhaps you spend a few uninterrupted minutes planning tomorrow before going to sleep. Whatever you choose, allow it to become non-negotiable, not because the individual ritual will change your life overnight, but because the person it gradually creates certainly will. Remember this truth: extraordinary lives are rarely built through extraordinary days. They are built through ordinary days lived with extraordinary intention. Every ritual is a quiet vote for the person you are becoming. Repeat those votes consistently enough, and one day you will discover that what once required effort has become part of your nature. That is the hidden power of everyday rituals. They do not merely organize your schedule, they transform your character, one day at a time. Chapter 9. Harmony creates sustainable success. A meaningful life is not built by succeeding in one area while neglecting everything else. It is built by bringing your whole life into harmony. Modern society often celebrates imbalance. Working longer hours is mistaken for ambition. Constant busyness is mistaken for importance. Sacrificing health for career is called dedication. Ignoring relationships in pursuit of achievement is sometimes admired as commitment. For a while, this approach may produce visible success, but eventually something begins to break. Energy fades, relationships weaken, purpose becomes unclear. The achievements remain, yet the sense of fulfillment quietly disappears. Japanese philosophy offers a different vision of success. Rather than encouraging endless pursuit, it emphasizes harmony. Harmony is not the absence of ambition, it is the ability to pursue excellence without losing yourself in the process. It means recognizing that a meaningful life is built not only through accomplishment, but also through balance, connection, gratitude, and well-being. When these elements support one another, success becomes sustainable rather than exhausting. One of the most important aspects of harmony is balance. Balance does not mean giving every area of life exactly the same amount of time. Different seasons of life demand different priorities. Instead, balance means ensuring that no single pursuit consistently destroys everything else that matters. A successful career should not require sacrificing your health. Financial growth should not come at the cost of every meaningful relationship. Personal ambition should not eliminate moments of rest and reflection. Japanese wisdom reminds us that lasting achievement is possible only when the foundations supporting it remain strong. Health, relationships, purpose, and inner peace are not distractions from success. They are the conditions that make long-term success possible. Harmony also extends to the way we relate to other people. No one grows entirely alone. Every meaningful achievement is influenced by teachers, mentors, friends, colleagues, family members, and communities that offer encouragement, wisdom, and opportunity. Japanese culture places great value on mutual respect and cooperation. Rather than viewing life as a competition where one person's success requires another's failure, it often emphasizes contributing to something larger than oneself. Strong communities create stronger individuals. Likewise, strong individuals strengthen their communities. This perspective changes how we define achievement. Success becomes something we build together rather than something we pursue in isolation. Healthy relationships are therefore not simply pleasant additions to life. They are essential sources of resilience. During difficult moments, supportive relationships provide perspective when emotions become overwhelming. They remind us of who we are when self-doubt appears. They celebrate our progress and encourage us through setbacks. Research in psychology consistently shows that meaningful relationships are among the strongest predictors of happiness, emotional well-being, and even physical health. The quality of your life is deeply connected to the quality of the people with whom you share it. Investing in relationships is not time taken away from success. It is an investment in the very foundation of lasting success. Another essential element of harmony is gratitude. Many people spend their lives focused entirely on what they have not yet achieved. There is always another goal, another promotion, another possession, another milestone. While ambition drives progress, endless dissatisfaction quietly steals joy. Gratitude restores perspective. It reminds us to recognize the value already present in our lives. The people who support us, the lessons we have learned, the opportunities we have received, even the challenges that helped us grow. Gratitude does not eliminate ambition. It balances ambition with appreciation. You continue moving forward without forgetting how far you have already come. This mindset creates greater resilience because fulfillment no longer depends entirely on future achievements. Harmony also protects long-term well-being. Many people push themselves relentlessly until exhaustion forces them to stop. Rest becomes something earned only after burnout. Japanese philosophy encourages a healthier rhythm. Nature itself moves in cycles, day and night. The changing seasons, periods of growth followed by periods of renewal. Human beings are no different. Recovery is not laziness, it is preparation. A rested mind makes wiser decisions. A healthy body sustains consistent effort. An emotionally balanced person responds more thoughtfully to challenges. Sustainable success requires sustainable energy. Without it, even the most ambitious goals eventually become difficult to maintain. Harmony also influences how we measure success. Society often encourages comparison. We measure ourselves against other people's achievements, lifestyles, and accomplishments. Japanese philosophy invites us to compare ourselves with only one person, the person we were yesterday. This shift creates peace. Growth becomes personal rather than competitive. Instead of asking, "Am I ahead of everyone else?" you begin asking, "Am I becoming a better version of myself?" That question encourages continuous improvement without unnecessary anxiety. It aligns perfectly with the philosophy of Kaizen. Progress matters, comparison does not. As you continue your own journey, take a moment to examine the harmony within your life. Is your work supporting your health? Are your ambitions strengthening your relationships or weakening them? Do your daily habits create peace as well as productivity? Are you making time to appreciate what already exists while continuing to grow? These questions matter because lasting transformation is never about improving one area while neglecting the rest. It is about creating a life where each part strengthens every other part. Remember this truth. The strongest tree is not the one that grows the fastest. It is the one whose roots, trunk, branches and leaves remain in balance through every season. Your life is no different. Achievement without harmony eventually creates emptiness. Harmony allows achievement to become meaningful. When your work reflects your values, your relationships deepen your purpose, your gratitude strengthens your perspective, and your habits protect your well-being, success becomes something far greater than external accomplishment. It becomes a life that is both meaningful and sustainable. That is the quiet wisdom of Japanese philosophy. True success is not found in constantly reaching for more. It is found in creating harmony between who you are, what you value, and the life you choose to build every single day. Chapter 10. Lead yourself before you lead others. The most important person you will ever lead is the one you see in the mirror each morning. Many people dream of becoming influential. They want to inspire others, lead successful teams, build meaningful organizations, create lasting change. These are worthy ambitions. Yet leadership begins much closer to home. Before you can guide others, you must first learn to guide yourself. This is one of the quiet lessons woven throughout Japanese philosophy. Respect begins with self-respect. Discipline begins with self-discipline. Improvement begins with self-improvement. The quality of your leadership is ultimately limited by the quality of your character. You cannot consistently lead others beyond the level at which you lead yourself. This is the essence of self-leadership. Self-leadership is the ability to direct your thoughts, emotions, decisions, and actions toward the person you intentionally choose to become. It means acting according to your values instead of your impulses. Keeping promises to yourself even when no one is watching, choosing responsibility instead of excuses. Unlike authority, self-leadership cannot be given by a title. It is earned through daily choices, Every disciplined action strengthens it. Every honest decision reinforces it. Every difficult conversation handled with integrity deepens it. The journey always begins within. One of the greatest barriers to self-leadership is the habit of blaming circumstances. When life becomes difficult, it is easy to point toward unfair situations, challenging people, or unfortunate timing. Sometimes these obstacles are very real. Yet Japanese philosophy consistently reminds us that while we cannot control every circumstance, we can always influence our response. This perspective shifts attention from what is happening around us to what is happening within us. That shift is the beginning of personal responsibility. Responsibility is not about carrying unnecessary guilt. It is about recognizing your power to choose your next action, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Self-leaders ask, "Given these circumstances, what is the wisest thing I can do next?" That single question transforms helplessness into possibility. Every answer becomes another opportunity to strengthen character. Self-leadership also depends upon emotional intelligence. Leadership is not simply making good decisions when everything is easy. Its true test appears during moments of pressure, criticism, conflict, disappointment, uncertainty. These situations reveal whether emotions control us or whether we have learned to respond with wisdom. Emotionally intelligent people do not suppress their feelings. They understand them. They recognize frustration without becoming consumed by it. They acknowledge fear without allowing fear to make every decision. They listen before reacting, pause before speaking, reflect before acting. This ability creates stability not only within themselves but also for everyone around them. People naturally trust those who remain calm when circumstances become difficult. Another essential element of self-leadership is personal integrity. Integrity is often defined as doing the right thing when no one is watching. It is the alignment between your values and your actions. Many people speak confidently about honesty, discipline, kindness, or excellence. Integrity asks a deeper question. Do your daily choices reflect those beliefs? If your words and actions repeatedly move in different directions, trust begins to disappear. Not only the trust others place in you, the trust you place in yourself. Every broken promise weakens self-confidence. Every promise kept strengthens it. Integrity therefore becomes one of the strongest sources of authentic confidence. You no longer need to convince yourself that you are reliable. Your actions provide the evidence. Japanese philosophy often emphasizes consistency over performance. Character is not revealed by occasional acts of greatness. It is revealed by ordinary decisions repeated faithfully over time. The way you treat people who cannot benefit you. The effort you give when recognition is absent. The honesty you maintain when compromise would be easier. These quiet moments shape your identity far more than public achievements ever could. Leadership grows through consistency long before it becomes visible to others. A remarkable quality of self-leaders is that they remain students. No matter how much they accomplish, they continue learning. They seek feedback rather than avoiding it. They admit mistakes without allowing pride to stand in the way of improvement. This humility reflects many traditional Japanese values. Mastery is never considered complete. Every day offers another opportunity to refine one's thinking, habits, and character. Learning becomes a lifelong discipline rather than a temporary stage. Perhaps the greatest reward of self-leadership is influence. Influence cannot be demanded, it must be earned. People are rarely inspired by titles alone, they are inspired by example. A leader who demonstrates discipline encourages discipline. A leader who remains composed during difficulty inspires confidence. A leader who consistently acts with integrity creates trust. Long before people follow your instructions, they begin observing your behavior. Your example quietly becomes your strongest form of leadership. As you continue becoming the person you were meant to be, remember that leadership is not reserved for executives or public figures. Parents lead families, teachers lead students, friends influence friends, colleagues shape workplace culture. Every conversation, every decision, and every habit communicates something about the person you are becoming. You are leading someone, including yourself, every single day. So ask yourself, are your daily choices making you someone others would willingly trust, respect, and follow? If the answer is still developing, that is not a reason for discouragement. It is an invitation to continue growing, because leadership is not a destination. It is a practice, a daily commitment to becoming someone whose actions consistently reflect their highest values. Remember this truth: the world rarely changes because one person gains more authority. It changes because one person develops more character. Lead yourself with wisdom. Lead yourself with discipline. Lead yourself with integrity. And one day you will discover that others began following not because you asked them to, but because your example quietly showed them a better way to live. Chapter 11. Create a legacy through daily choices. Your legacy is not created at the end of your life. It is quietly written through the choices you make every single day. When people hear the word legacy, they often imagine something distant, a lifetime of achievements, a successful career, a great invention, a charitable foundation, something remembered long after they are gone. While these can certainly become part of a person's legacy, they are not where legacy begins. Legacy begins today. It begins in the conversations you have, the promises you keep, the values you live, the example you set. Every ordinary decision quietly shapes the story your life will eventually tell. Japanese philosophy has always encouraged people to think beyond immediate rewards. Whether through Kaizen's commitment to continuous improvement, Shokunin's devotion to craftsmanship, or Ikigai's pursuit of meaningful purpose, the emphasis remains remarkably consistent. Live in a way that creates value far beyond the present moment. The question is no longer, what can I achieve today? It becomes, what kind of life am I building over time? This shift transforms the way we approach everyday choices. One of the greatest lessons of long-term thinking is understanding that today's decisions are investments in tomorrow's character. Every habit strengthens a future identity. Every action reinforces a reputation. Every repeated behavior becomes part of the legacy others experience long before they remember our accomplishments. People may eventually forget many of our words. They rarely forget how consistently we lived them. This is why intentional living matters. Living with intention means choosing your actions according to your values rather than according to convenience. It means deciding in advance what kind of person you wish to become and allowing that vision to guide everyday behavior. Without intention, life easily becomes reactive. We respond to circumstances, follow distractions, chase temporary rewards. Years pass quickly, yet little changes beneath the surface. Intentional living slows this process. It encourages regular reflection. It asks whether today's choices align with tomorrow's aspirations. It reminds us that every day is an opportunity to strengthen the life we truly wish to create. Another essential element of legacy is contribution. Modern culture often defines success through personal achievement. Higher income, greater recognition, more possessions. These goals may bring satisfaction, but they rarely create lasting significance by themselves. Japanese philosophy consistently encourages contribution beyond the self. A craftsman serves the customer. A teacher serves students. A leader develops future leaders. A business creates value for society. Personal excellence becomes meaningful because it improves the lives of others. This perspective changes ambition itself. Success is no longer measured only by what you gain. It is also measured by what you give. Contribution does not always require extraordinary acts. Often it appears in remarkably ordinary ways, offering encouragement to someone facing uncertainty, sharing knowledge with a younger colleague, listening carefully when another person needs understanding, performing your work with integrity because others depend upon it. Small acts of service repeated consistently often leave deeper impressions than dramatic gestures performed once. Like Kaizen, contribution compounds. One meaningful action influences another. Kindness encourages kindness. Integrity inspires integrity. Excellence raises expectations. Your influence quietly extends beyond what you can immediately see. This leads naturally to the idea of influence. Many people believe influence depends upon status, a title, authority, public recognition. True influence works differently. People are influenced by those whose lives consistently reflect their values. They trust individuals whose actions match their words. They remember those who helped them grow. The greatest influence rarely comes from commanding attention. It comes from earning respect. This kind of influence cannot be purchased. It is built gradually through character. Every promise honored, every challenge faced with courage, every act of humility, every moment of integrity, these become the invisible foundation of a meaningful legacy. Long-term thinking also teaches patience. Not every worthwhile investment produces immediate results. A tree planted today may provide shade decades later. A child encouraged today may become tomorrow's compassionate leader. A habit practiced faithfully for years may eventually transform an entire life. The most meaningful outcomes often remain invisible while they are developing. This requires faith in the process. The willingness to continue making wise choices even when the rewards are not yet visible. Japanese philosophy reminds us that meaningful progress rarely announces itself. It accumulates quietly until one day its impact becomes impossible to ignore. As you reflect on your own journey, ask yourself an important question. If someone observed your daily routines without hearing your goals, what future would they expect you to create? Your habits answer that question more honestly than your intentions. Legacy is never built by occasional inspiration. It is built through repeated actions aligned with enduring values. Today, choose one deliberate action that contributes to something greater than yourself. Teach what you have learned. Express gratitude to someone who shaped your life. Encourage a person who has lost confidence. Improve a process that will help others. Offer your time where it creates lasting value. Do not underestimate small acts performed with sincere purpose. History is filled with lives changed by simple moments of encouragement, generosity, and integrity. Remember these words. Every meaningful legacy begins as an ordinary decision made with extraordinary intention. You do not need to change the entire world in a single day. You simply need to leave each place, each person, and each situation slightly better than you found it. Over time, those quiet improvements become your signature. They become the story others tell about your life. And ultimately, they become the legacy you leave behind. Because the greatest measure of a life is not how much success it collects, it is how much value it continues creating long after the moment has passed. That is the lasting wisdom of Japanese philosophy. Live intentionally, contribute generously, grow continuously, and allow your daily choices to become the legacy that inspires generations to come. Chapter 12. the Japanese blueprint for lasting transformation. The person you were meant to become is not discovered by chance. They are created through the choices you make every single day. Throughout this audiobook, one truth has quietly connected every chapter. Transformation is not an event, it is a way of living. Many people spend their lives searching for a single breakthrough that will change everything overnight. They wait for more confidence, more motivation, better circumstances, or the perfect opportunity to finally become the person they dream of being. Japanese philosophy offers a wiser path. It teaches that the most meaningful transformation is rarely dramatic. It is built patiently through small improvements, purposeful living, disciplined habits, resilient character, and an unwavering commitment to lifelong growth. You have explored ideas that have guided generations of craftsmen, leaders, thinkers, and ordinary people seeking extraordinary lives. Together, these principles form a blueprint that extends far beyond personal success. They offer a philosophy for living. The journey begins with Kaizen. Continuous improvement reminds us that greatness is never created all at once. Every meaningful life is built through small daily actions, repeated with consistency. One healthier choice, one thoughtful conversation, one page read, one promise kept. These actions may appear insignificant in isolation, but together they quietly reshape your identity. You do not become extraordinary through one remarkable day. You become extraordinary by improving slightly every day. Next comes Ikigai, the quiet force that gives direction to your effort. Without purpose, discipline eventually feels exhausting. Habits become routines without meaning. Achievement loses its satisfaction. Purpose transforms ordinary work into meaningful contribution. It reminds you why your growth matters, not simply for your own success, but for the value you can create in the lives of others. Purpose gives every improvement a destination. The philosophy of Shokunin teaches us to devote ourselves to our craft rather than to applause. Mastery is never measured by recognition. It is measured by the standards you maintain when no one is watching. Every task becomes an opportunity to strengthen your character. Every repetition becomes an act of refinement. Excellence stops being something you occasionally achieve and becomes the way you approach life itself. Then comes the wisdom of Wabi-Sabi. Your imperfections are not obstacles to transformation. They are part of it. Life will never unfold exactly as planned. Mistakes will happen. Plans will change. You will fall short of your expectations. Wabi-Sabi teaches you to continue growing without demanding perfection. Progress matters more than flawless performance. The courage to continue is often more valuable than the ability to succeed immediately. Closely connected to this is Kintsugi. Every life experiences moments of brokenness, loss, failure, disappointment, heartbreak. Yet your scars do not diminish your value. They deepen your wisdom. Every challenge carries the possibility of greater resilience, compassion, and understanding. When you choose to rebuild instead of surrender, your greatest difficulties become part of your greatest strength. They become evidence not of defeat, but of healing. Running through all these philosophies is the quiet power of discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect expressed through action. It is choosing your highest values over your strongest impulses. It is keeping promises to yourself even when no one else is aware of them. Over time, disciplined actions become disciplined habits. Disciplined habits become disciplined character. Character ultimately shapes destiny. None of these principles can flourish without resilience. Life will test your commitment. There will be seasons when progress feels invisible, moments when effort seems unrewarded, days when giving up appears easier than continuing. Resilience reminds you that growth is rarely linear. Like bamboo bending during a storm, strength often comes not from resisting change, but from adapting without losing your roots. Every setback becomes another opportunity to continue becoming the person you were meant to be. Finally, there is lifelong learning. One of the most beautiful aspects of Japanese philosophy is its humility. No matter how experienced a person becomes, they remain a student. Every day offers another lesson, another improvement, another opportunity to grow. Transformation, therefore, has no finish line. There is always another skill to refine, another habit to strengthen, another perspective to understand. Growth itself becomes a lifelong companion. When these principles work together, they create something extraordinary. Kaizen gives you momentum. Ikigai gives you purpose. Shokunin gives you mastery. Wabi-Sabi gives you acceptance. Kintsugi gives you resilience. Discipline gives you consistency. Lifelong learning keeps you moving forward. Together, they shape not merely what you accomplish, but who you become. This is the true Japanese blueprint for lasting transformation. It is not a shortcut. It is not a temporary strategy. It is a lifelong philosophy grounded in patience, humility, purpose, and continuous improvement. It asks you to stop waiting for a different life and begin creating one through today's choices. As this journey comes to a close, remember that becoming your highest potential does not require becoming someone else. It requires becoming more fully yourself, more intentional, more disciplined, more compassionate, more resilient, more committed to growth than to comfort. The person you were meant to become has never been waiting somewhere in the future. They have been quietly emerging through every choice you make, every habit you strengthen, every challenge you overcome, and every lesson you choose to learn. From this day forward, continue improving. Continue learning, continue serving, continue growing, not because perfection is possible, but because transformation is. And one day, you will look back and realize that the life you once imagined was never created by one extraordinary moment. It was created by thousands of ordinary moments lived with extraordinary intention. That is the enduring gift of Japanese wisdom. And that is the path to becoming the person you were always meant to be. Every meaningful journey eventually returns to where it began, not because the destination is the same, but because the traveler has changed. When this audiobook began, the central idea was simple. The greatest transformation is not becoming someone else, it is becoming the person you were always capable of being. Everything you have explored since then has pointed toward that single truth. Japanese philosophy has shown us that lasting change is not built through dramatic breakthroughs or perfect circumstances. It is created through ordinary actions performed with extraordinary consistency, guided by purpose, strengthened by discipline, and refined through lifelong learning. Along the way, your perspective has been invited to shift. From self-doubt to self-belief, by recognizing that your identity is not fixed but continually shaped by your choices. From depending on motivation to building disciplined habits that remain steady even when inspiration fades. From chasing perfection to embracing continuous improvement, understanding that progress always matters more than flawless performance. From living with uncertainty to discovering purpose, allowing your daily actions to become expressions of the life you truly want to create. From fearing failure to developing resilient growth, seeing every setback not as proof of limitation, but as another opportunity to learn, adapt, and become stronger. And finally, from untapped potential to purposeful action, realizing that the life you imagine is built one intentional decision at a time. These transformations are not achieved in a single day. They are strengthened every time you choose growth over comfort, patience over shortcuts, responsibility over excuses, and purpose over distraction. This is the enduring wisdom found throughout Japanese philosophy. The person you were meant to become has never been waiting somewhere in the future. That person is shaped by the choices you make today, the habits you repeat tomorrow, and the philosophy you choose to live by for the rest of your life. Every thoughtful decision strengthens your character. Every disciplined habit shapes your identity. Every challenge becomes another opportunity to grow wiser. Remember that transformation is never a single event. It is a lifelong practice of becoming a little wiser, a little stronger, a little kinder, and a little more purposeful every day. So continue improving, continue learning, continue serving, continue becoming, because the most extraordinary version of your life will never be created by one perfect moment. It will be created by thousands of ordinary moments lived with intention, and that journey begins again today.